What now? Let's take a look at the 9 games we just didn't expect to be playing. When it comes to looking back at what our younger selves would imagine we'd be loading up in the 21st century, some of our favourite games are safely predictable. 10-year-old Louise, for instance, wouldn't have needed a crystal ball to conclude that this version would be whiling away the hours playing 2 Point Hospital or Planet Zoo. Oh, look at his little feet. But then there's the other games, the ones that have truly reinvented how we see play, and that have effortlessly crept up on us so we're not even surprised anymore. And there are always the ones that we've been waiting for so long that we had abandoned all hope of them ever coming out. So from a certain goose to cleaning up after an FPS, here are the 9 games we just didn't expect to be playing. Of course, this is the perfect place to start. Shh, stop. I'm talking here. Oh, you really are a horrible goose. You should be worried. It's Christmas soon. Who'll be honking then, eh? House House's Untitled Goose Game, even by its title alone, is proof that this was never the kind of experience anyone thought we'd need in our lives. And yet, here we are in 2019, talking about a bird-based stealth game that's happily combat-free and lets you chase a child that looks a lot like a young version of Matt into a phone box. If you haven't had the joy of playing, you could always hit the link on screen now for our Let's Play, but don't go just yet. The appeal of Untitled Goose Game even managed to sneak into the mainstream, with Chrissy Teigen asking about it on Twitter, and coincidentally a rogue goose in Nottingham in England actually breaking through the glass window of a taxi. Inspiring real-life bird-based violence absolutely wasn't on the mission list we saw. But, you know, Peaky Blinders? Anyone? Moving on from something wholesome to something gruesome. We'd never really thought about what was left behind after an FPS, but Viscera cleanup detail happily breaks it down. Literally. Proof that linear corridors don't just burn up behind you, this cleaning simulator hands you a mop and bucket and expects you to remove every last drop of blood and gore from each room before moving on to the next. And it's amazing. It turns out that all anyone has ever needed to do to make us clean is let us earn achievements at the same time. Viscera cleanup detail just shouldn't be as satisfying as it is as you carefully mop up blood spatter and try not to knock over your very own bucket of very red water. Yes, I speak directly from experience. And if you can't stomach all the red cups and festive cheer of the holiday season, there's even a piece of exceptionally gory Christmas DLC. Santa, well, he hasn't been having the best time of it up at the North Pole, and it looks like everyone has suffered the consequences. Anyway, better get cleaning, keep up that elf confidence in the face of brutal carnage. Part of loving games is accepting that there are loads of titles we'll never actually get to play. Agent, Silent Hills, and until a few years back, Shenmue 3 was high on the list of heartbreaking vaporware. The worst thing about all of this is that anyone who played the first 2 Shenmue games would have been deeply invested in Ryo Hazuki's personal tale of revenge. For those of us who grew up playing Dreamcast, this was our first taste of a truly emotional story. And now, 18 years after Shenmue 2, we finally get the chance of some closure. It's the sequel we never thought we'd get. It's slow, deliberate, and solidly old-fashioned. If you didn't love Shenmue before, this is very unlikely to change your mind. But if you're like Matt and have waited long enough to play this to have a vengeful child of your very own, this is the finale you need. So not quite as unexpected as a furious waterfowl then, but still a welcome surprise.
I can forge a formidable master out of the most hopeless of pupils. You stand before a Chun-Tai cheer master.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Death is an odd concept in games. We take the lives of so many faceless NPCs and never think about it again. A Mortician's Tale then is the opposite of all of that. You can probably tell from the title, but this is a game all about the dead, about caring for them, doing what a mortician needs to do, and most importantly, speaking to family members. Its simplistic visual style might make this look like a cartoon, but when it comes to the emotional impact, this one hits really painfully close to home. And that's an important thing to think about. Games don't all have to be about fun. We can laugh, cry, get angry, and sometimes feel entirely unexpected emotions. A Mortician's Tale then isn't just an unexpected game that we couldn't have predicted playing. It's a whole set of emotional responses that we just weren't accounting for. And now, back to the jokes. I promise. Uh-oh. Prepare for the crust puns. Or at least do or do not, there is no try. I Am Bread makes it onto this list because, if we're honest, our idea of how it would be to play video games in 2015, well, it didn't look like a lone slice of carbohydrate painstakingly clambering up the side of a refrigerator. There's probably a very special name for your expression as you finally relent a trigger button to let go with one corner, only to discover it was entirely the wrong one. Oh, crumbs. And let's just remember, Bossa Studios isn't just responsible for this particular tasty treat. This is the studio known for the painful finger workouts of Surgeon Simulator and the upcoming Pigeon Simulator. Adam Jensen style, no one ever asked for these, but somehow the challenge of hand-eye coordination is just too tantalising to miss out on. This is games, and we have no idea how we got here. Gone Home in this list represents many things, not just the delights of a beautiful, heart-wrenching, entertaining story wrapped up in an ordinary family abode, but it also stands here waving the flag for every other so-called walking simulator. The games that give us whole new pairs of eyes and let us experience new, sometimes extraordinary narratives. No one could have predicted that just walking around a house could be so evocative, but Gone Home effortlessly and devastatingly makes video games one of the best ways to sneak a story into your head and keep it there. If it wasn't for Gone Home, would we have had Firewatch or What Remains of Edith Finch? It turns out that first-person games really don't have to have a gun at the bottom of the screen to be considered fun. And, like a Mortician's Tale from earlier, crying is absolutely a healthy video game emotion. We should probably all do it more. Ah, the things we'd rather do than spend time fixing up our IRL houses and doing the cleaning. Like play House Flipper, a game which is solely about fixing up the house and doing the cleaning. A less murderous version of Viscera cleanup detail, and with more trips to an online equivalent of a certain Swedish furniture store, Empyrean's to-do list simulator is somehow a satisfying delight. Arriving in people's hugely disorganised, filthy houses and fixing them room by room is somehow the endorphin hit that none of us knew we needed. I've made a video before on why we like playing games more so or equally as boring as Matt's everyday life, and it's all about control. We feel like we can genuinely make a difference in these tiny self-contained houses, and the game rewards us in turn. No one will come in and mess this up immediately, or at least if they do, you're long gone with only the delightful memory of making windows sparkle and getting rid of inexplicable giant tires. Memory games are nothing new. Humans have been happily playing them long before we even knew the concept of chipsets and GPUs. But Wilmot's warehouse is a little different. It's closer to actually having your very own stock-keeping job. While the organisation of random boxes of assorted colourful shapes just isn't something we thought we'd be obsessing about in 2019, it's easy to see exactly why. With all these odd boxes of strange and wonderful goods, this is yet another game where we have agency and everything can go exactly where we want. Even if I am playing with Matt and have to tell him where to put everything.
I'm just following you around like it's like I'm the work experience boy and this is my first day at warehouse school.
I'll be honest, this is a very personal entry, simply because every time I play Friday the 13th, I feel like I've rediscovered the potential of video games. I just didn't ever expect to play an officially licensed asymmetrical multiplayer game where I could play as Jason Voorhees or a bunch of horror trope camp counsellors. Especially given that the last game was in 1989 and wasn't exactly a 10 out of 10 would Voorhees again. Every so often, it feels like a game comes along that we would pop on a dream list. And a slasher sim with motion captured kills from Jason actor Kane Hodder feels like one of those, if a slightly painful one. The thing is, games don't just have to come up with ludicrous concepts to be unexpected, even if it does help. Friday the 13th, with its proximity-based chat and specific skills and abilities, is a natural fit for a game, but sometimes still feels too good to be true. And just as an aside, Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle was also never something I thought my little horror heart could handle. It's a sliding puzzle with machetes. So, that's the 9 games we never expected to play. Let us know the games you could never have imagined in the comments below, drop us a like if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Logitech G for more features just like this one. If you do already subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know when our next video lands.